All right, everyone, welcome to this General Conference Reaction live stream to the Saturday afternoon session. We have some really cool things that actually happened in this last session that we're going to kind of talk about and go over. Of course, we're going to go through all the talks, and we're going to reference our bingo and power praise sheets that we have here as well. But we have some very cool things that happened. And the first one I want to talk about is this cool moment that I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but I thought it was pretty cool. Right after General Conference session, or this General Conference session was over, Elder Delgy Renland, or he parted with his wife, as with the rest of the elder apostles do, right? And then he came back out with his wife, which is right here, and then they went to talk with the youth who sung in the choir that was part of the Saturday afternoon session. Okay, this youth group is from northern Utah. I'm not entirely sure which area, but that's what they mentioned. So I thought it was really cool for, to actually see the apostle here go out and minister unto these youth. Okay, these are sincerely apostles of God. And most of the time, these guys will go back and, either go get a bit to eat or talk with the other people, okay? This guy's just like, or Delgy Renland is just like, screw it, I'm just gonna go out and talk with these guys. You can just see a lot of their faces, they're just like, what? So, yeah, that's just something that I thought I'd bring up. Super cool moment. And I just kind of want to bring out these other Renlands in chat, apparently. So, yeah, let's just go ahead and move on to, I guess, the next part of this reaction live stream that I want to do is I just want to break down each individual talk. And we're going to continue on with the bathity, or the insanity of this session, okay? We had the first talk, which was titled Cherishing Life by Elder Neil L. Anderson, okay? This was a talk about abortion, okay? This is especially a topic nowadays that is, I'm not sure how to phrase it, but it is highly controversial. And the church has had an opinion on it ever since the beginning of time, even before the Latter-day Saint Church was brought back to the earth. Abortion kind of already had its preset, okay? We are all children of God, and we all have our own specific identity. And why in the world is it right to kill a innocent infantile who has their own identity, even before they even had the chance to live? Okay, and that's kind of like the whole entire idea and that the church has. Now, of course, there are such exceptions, okay? This is what Neil L. Anderson said within his talk. He says, the church opposes elective abortions or any such abortions except for instances of rape, incest, molest, the mother's life of death, or the baby won't make it beyond birth. Okay, those are the cases which the church thinks is okay. Because, I don't know, within this chaotic world, there's a lot of political opinions, there's a bunch of things going back and forth, and I love what Neil L. Anderson says. He says, nurturing and protecting life that is unborn is not a political position, but rather a moral one. Okay? I don't know, this is awesome, and in a lot of different ways, because there's so much contention and controversy, so just to have an apostle go out and, I guess, weather the army and weather the storm in a lot of ways and just come out and remind people of the position is large. Especially, there's a gospel topics essay on it. And the church has said some other talks. President Nelson has a famous quote about it too. But have one directed talk about it is something that is awesome. So, I'm not complaining. This is probably the most based talk, I'd say, if we're going to use Gen Z terms. But, yeah. Props to Neil Anderson on this talk. I love this talk, and it is just a reminder, even beyond the abortion side of things, that we are all each individual children of God, both sides of the veil, okay? And it's also our duty to bring children into the world and to be able to raise them and nurture them in a way that they can be able to also continue that legacy forward and have that gospel and foundation on Jesus Christ, okay? Love that. So, the speaker after that is General Young Men's President Stephen J. Lung, or Lunt, not Long, and his talk was titled Divine Authority, Sublime Young Men. Okay, it's been a while since I feel like we've had a talk specifically for young men. I can't honestly remember the last time we had one. I mean, you can probably say last conference with Brad Wilcox's, Youth of Born with Noble Birthright talk was, may count, but just one especially centered for young men I thought was awesome. They start off with this kind of cool statistic that over 100,000 young men are ordained to the priesthood each year. Isn't that awesome? Okay, yeah. And there's a few different other things that he talked about with him there that was awesome. And the one thing I would like to say as a young man who was listening to this is it's just a good reminder that the Aaronic priesthood plays an essential role within the ordinances and everything that goes on within the church. Okay, in the older temples, some of the first temples, okay, you think about Kirtland, you think of Manti, you think of the Salt Lake Temple, you think of St. George. They have these assembly halls within the temples somewhere. Most of the time they're on the second floor, but for example, take Kirtland's first floor, if I remember right, maybe the second floor, I don't remember. But you have these assembly halls where you have on one side you have the Melchizedek priesthood and you have the Aaronic priesthood on the other side. Okay, both priesthoods play together and they coexist together, and they make up the priesthood. Okay, both are extremely important, especially for the Aaronic priesthood, because it is our job to exhort, expound, preach the gospel, and for priests to baptize. Okay, this is something that's extremely important that young men, I think we need to take more seriously. Are we living worthy of this priesthood and these responsibilities that we have? Okay, and that is something that I believe that we as young men need to do better at and consider more. Okay, so especially whenever you are ministering the sacrament in whatever way you have that responsibility of, remember your role and that you are symbolically acting as the Savior or the Savior's messenger or apostles. Okay, you are symbolically them, so live worthy of that responsibility. Okay, next we had the great Kiwi S. Mark Palmer. He is from New Zealand, super great guy. His talk was "Return Unto Me That I May Heal You." Okay, this talk is pretty good. It basically is a talk about saying to all those who have left the church and you're missing out on the joy, come back to the church. Okay, because there you can find the joy that is found in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The thing is, the world will scream at us, it'll scream at everyone else, that the world has so much happiness and it's so good because you can do all these, all these great things. But what they fail to understand is once you do leave the gospel and once you do drop your foundation, okay, you lose everything, really, and you have to start on unsturdy, floor, because that's what the world offers. Okay, all you do is you go from trend to trend, you partake in terrible things, and you experience worldly happiness, as they like to call it. Okay. But that does not provide you eternal happiness. There's no humility. There's no joy within that. That is going to last you forever. Okay, there's a reason why most people out there say that they don't feel happy. It's because they don't have the gospel. Okay, they're living worldly lives. Some of them have been exposed to the gospel and have left the church, and then they take it upon themselves. And this talk is all about saying, return unto us so that we can heal you. Okay, that is what the church is all about. We're here to help heal and mend and gather all of God's children for the second coming. Okay, great talk. Highly recommend, no matter what, go back and listen to this talk. Love it. The next one is from Elder Sandino Roman. His talk was titled Faith, a Bond of Trust and Loyalty. One thing that I will mention about this talk was I love how he described faith as trust. It is a bond of trust which is based on love. Okay, we need to make sure that whenever, we can say I have faith in Jesus Christ, but what does that actually mean? Do you sincerely have trust in him? Are you willing to go out of your way whenever a big decision comes and say, God is telling me to do this. I'm actually willing to do this, even though it may seem harder, or I'm going to take the easy way out. Okay, that's just one example. There's a lot of ways within life that faith comes into play. Okay, you have to have faith within the gospel. You have to have faith within Jesus Christ. And you can do so many things within that. And I love this talk. Make sure you go ahead and watch that. The next talk we have is from Elder Dale G. Renland, the wonderful guy who you see right here, who decided to go and talk to the choir members afterwards. Again, I give him a lot of props for that. Anyways, Elder Dale G. Renland, his talk was personal preparation for the second coming. Okay, I think a lot of times we think of the second coming as this great, joyous day when the Savior is going to come again, and that it is. But we are told that the signs and things to come up into the second coming, that it's going to be awful, and that the world's going to be in a great state of confusion, and it's going to be not too pretty. It's going to get rough, right? But this is what Elder Dale G. Renland says for us to do. He says that we need to follow Jesus Christ and put trust in him, and that we need to consecrate our gifts to the building up of his kingdom, allowing others to come into him. Okay, that is what we're trying to do for the second coming, okay? So, yeah, make sure you go and watch and listen to that talk as well. A lot of these talks are really good, so no matter what, go ahead and do that. This one I had not a lot of bullets on, because I was focusing on other things. But This one was from Elder Hans T. Boom. It was titled True to the Faith That Our Parents Have Cherished. I kind of liked because it kind of felt like it can tie family history into it. So a lot of our ancestors who come before us were members of the church. Some of them weren't. Some of us are first-time converts to the church, okay? And I liked about this talk is that we need to follow the legacy of those behind us and also continue to set the legacy for now for the future generations to come, okay? That is something that is awesome that we need to be doing. What things am I doing in my life that my future generations are going to look back on and they're going to think, that was good? Right now, am I living my life unworthily and my future generations are looking at me right now and saying, what the crap are you doing? Okay, we need to be living worthily so that we can pass on this great legacy, so that our future generations can stay true to the faith, which our parents have cherished, okay? I love that talk and the message behind it. So the last and final talk of the conference was the Dieter F. Uchtdorf, and this was another great talk. This is basically the talk I would say of we need to invite other people and we don't need to worry about the things going on around us. We need to invite people to come into the fold. And that's awesome, okay? And the one thing I will add on to what he said was, or he actually said this line, it was along the lines of our job is to have something to contribute and also to learn. Because sometimes we can feel like it is our job to make the best impression, okay? No, it really isn't. It's our job to contribute. Okay, we're all in this together. And it's also our job to also step back and also learn from other people. So whenever we have these community discussions, whether these discussions are within Elders Quorum Relief Society, whether if you're in Sunday school, whatever it is, and you're having a discussion, it's important that, we contribute, but we also take away that we learn stuff. And that is something I think is important. So that is kind of what I wanted to talk about within the session. Again, I love this moment right here. Okay, I love our apostles. So next thing I kind of wanted to go over was our bingo. So let's go ahead and go over to our bingo. It looks like I did not get it loaded up. My bad. So we'll get Photoshop open and we will do that. So here we go. We have our bingo right here. Awesome. I only have one new bingo thing checked off. It is the mismatched color ones. This is something I didn't exactly think about. I was mainly thinking about like the tab choir whenever I wrote this, but it is what it is. So yeah, we had the youth choir. Of course, they're not gonna be able to color coordinate and get all the wardrobe, the same for both males and females. Okay, so there was a lot of mismatchedness. So I do technically have to put that one down, even though like the music though that they sung was awesome. As a musician, I love seeing other youth sing and play and perform and do different things within the gospel. So I'm not dissing on them because that's something that I don't want to take on for myself. This is just a fun little bingo thing just for you to look at and keep track of. Something that I've also been trying to keep track of is this little Easter egg thing. A few years ago that they did have little Easter eggs and little jars of Easter eggs right next to each of the apostles' chairs. I've been trying to listen to it or look out for it. Next to Elder Kieran's chair I saw was an empty cup of something. It could have been water, it could have been, maybe it was candy from beforehand and we didn't get a good angle of that. But I'm trying to keep an eye on that, so make sure you guys keep an eye for whatever's on here and anything else, okay? There's been a lot of awesome things so far that we've seen at this general conference, especially the prophecy fulfilled from last session that we talked about with Elder Razband. Awesome. So yeah, we have a whole lot of stuff happening. We are now going to have the Saturday evening session at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So that is in 1 hour and 30 minutes from the time that I'm saying these words. Then we're going to have the Saturday evening session. That one's typically not 2 hours. It's like they try to keep it between an hour and a half and 1 hour and 45 minutes typically, but that can change. But that's just your typical time frame for you guys. So yeah, power phrase wise, let's see. So let's just go through the list of, or I guess in order of the apostles. So we have of seniority, we have Dieter F. Uchtdorf, who went this conference. The thing that I wrote down for him was what we were talking about a few minutes ago, was that God doesn't do things as people do, okay? I love that because God has his own timetable. He has his own deal going on. And he has his own plan for us. And we know I think even Dieter Uchtdorf talked about of how in the Book of Mormon it says if there's any mistakes in this book, it is at the faults of men. You can look at the Bible, and there's a lot of faults even within the Bible that were from, mistranslations and translations over and over again. Okay, I'm interested to see what the Bible actually looks like once we get to the other world, whenever it's not corrupted and it's not done over 6,000 different translations. But it's just like God. God does things better than people do. Okay. And it's important that we look to him because he is the one that is supreme above us. And it's up to us to look up to him so that we can become like him. And that is the thing that I like about this. And yeah, super good talk from Elder Dieter F. Uchtdorf. We also had a talk from Dale G. Renland, and we also had one from Neil L. Anderson. Let's go back to Neil L. Anderson's really quick. One of the paraphrases that I put down for him was that as disciples of Christ, we are supposed to cherish life. Okay, and that also goes with what he was talking about with abortion. Okay, it's our job to cherish every single little bit of life we possibly can. Think about all the people who are dying, within wars or whether it is just naturally. Okay, it's our job to make sure that we are cherishing every single bit of life we possibly can. Life to come, current life right now, and the life of the past. It's our job to cherish that. So, finally, on the power phrase list from the apostles that we had was Elder Dale G. Renland. His talk was about preparation to meet him, and so yeah, to be the Savior. So he said, the paraphrase I said for him was, let's be prepared to meet him. Okay, it's very simple phrase and very simple sentence, but there's a lot that goes into that. Okay, so if the Savior were to come again tomorrow, okay, are we prepared to meet him? I don't know. That is a question that I think I'm going to leave you guys to ponder on. If the Savior would come tomorrow, what stuff could you improve? Okay? And, let's be prepared to meet him because it is ultimately our preparedness that is going to allow us to be ready for the second coming. So make sure that you're prepared and make sure that you guys are also ready for what's to come. Again, these upcoming days are going to be hard, but through the Savior, we can make it through them. So, yeah, I'd like to thank you guys for listening to this reaction live stream for General Conference. It has been especially fun to do this, and we will come back together tomorrow. I'll try to come back after the evening session, but I may or may not be too tired to do it. So hopefully, cross my fingers, I'll be able to have enough energy to do after the evening session. But most of the time I'm just tired. I'm just like, ugh, I'm out. But, we'll come back, hopefully. So if not, then I'll see you guys tomorrow. But yeah, anyways, I appreciate you guys for watching, and yeah, make sure you like, subscribe to the channel, do all that good stuff, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.